All right, so the truth is, no dude wants to be called Pam. But the truth is, most men have a Pam problem. The Pam problem, guys, you know what that is? It's the passive-aggressive man. Passive with his hopes, dreams, desires, maybe aggressive with vices, self-sabotage, distractions. They also struggle with women, work, and the world of men. Pam is passive with women, constantly friend-zoned. He's the nice guy that women keep around to help them move, check on their dogs, but never want to date. Pam is passed up at work, passed up for the promotion, and can't seem to catch a break. If you think you may have a Pam problem, or maybe you know someone that does, check out the High Value Man Conversation on Apple and Spotify and learn how to stop Pam and become a high value man. Learn more about the host, Aaron Alejandrino, on Instagram at TheFitBeard, all one word. But the podcast is called High Value Man Conversation. I checked it out on Apple Podcasts. It already has a 5-star review. It's got some great episodes, including how to avoid that dreaded friend zone. Those of you guys out there, I'm very familiar with that friend zone over the years. I was lucky enough to finally get out of it, but that is going to be an excellent episode for you guys out there that are stuck in that situation. You can also learn how to just make friends. I mean, just basic stuff, but critical stuff as well. Check out the High Value Man Conversation. It's available on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. You're not going to want to miss it. It'll add value to your life, guaranteed. Check it out today.
This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is the one that everybody wants, me. Is going to WrestleMania. Claymore! Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. This is my idol. You're going to acknowledge me.
All right, everybody, guys and girls, welcome back to another edition of the SmackDown Review right here on the WWE Podcast. As always, I'm one of the hosts of the show here, Michael Ritter. You can find me on Twitter at Michael5Ritter or on Instagram at MichaelRitter5. Also the host of the Football Function Podcast, available on all of your podcasting platforms, including the one that you're listening to this show on, and also available on Patreon if you prefer an ad-free experience and you're just a good person and feel like, helping support a growing show. That definitely goes a long way. But joining me on today's episode to talk about the SmackDown that aired on August 12th, 2022 from NC State, John Carrasco. John, how you doing, bud?
I am doing pretty good, man. Appreciate the introduction and everything like that. And yeah, it's good to be back in the chair, both of us. I know last week kind of a twist and everything, but yeah, it feels a little bit more comfortable and stuff like that when you leading the show. So yeah, let's roll into it.
Definitely is good to be back. Obviously, you never like missing. I know you can agree on that. Mm-hmm. It does suck. It throws you out of your rhythm, like having to watch SmackDown last week and not have to take notes on it. Like just be able to watch it and enjoy it. It was kind of nice. But then this week, feeling how out of the loop it is. Like whenever you miss 1 week and you come back, you do feel like you missed a month. Like it's pretty crazy actually, especially nowadays with how the WWE is just changing, it seems like every single day. But I am looking forward to talking about this episode of SmackDown. It depends on what your grading scale is. I would probably give this show like somewhere around a B, just there was some interesting thing that happens. When you have a match like Gunther and Shinsuke Nakamura, go point me another match that was better during the week than that one. That was a hell of a match. Main event of the show. I do feel like it lived up to the hype that, I at least had for it. I was very excited for that. But like I mentioned, that was the main event. So obviously we will get to that whenever we get there. But before that, we're going to start with what opened the show. And it was the tournament to determine the new SmackDown. Or no, not SmackDown. New Women's Tag Team Champions. Sorry. Get a little bit twisted there, but anyways, it might as well be, SmackDown belts just because, they were on Sasha and Naomi, who are SmackDown wrestlers, and, these matches, I know some happened on Raw, but, these ones were happening on SmackDown. I feel like a lot of the women who are more so in the tag team division, I feel like they come from the women's SmackDown locker room. That's just kind of the more mid-card heavy. There's a lot of, heavy hitters over there on Monday Night Raw. Alexa Bliss, Asuka, Becky Lynch, Bianca Belair. a lot of pretty talented women over there on Monday Night Raw. Over on SmackDown, yeah, we have a few, but I mean, our champion is Liv Morgan. Ronda Rousey currently suspended indefinitely, So I just feel like personally, most of the field of the tag team women's tournament, however you want to say it, is a tongue twister, but I feel like a lot of them come from the women's or the SmackDown division. So that's why I got twisted up there about 30 seconds ago, whenever it happened, before I got on this little tangent. But I'm tying it back here. This was a first round matchup. Raquel Rodriguez and Aliyah versus Shotzi and Xia Li. I pretty much knew right away. We kind of talked about it. We basically predicted the whole tournament at some point this week during work. We were just saying, all right, let's just look at the way the bracket's set up. Who's going to be in the semifinal matchups? Who's going to eventually win the whole thing? And we can kind of share that just to get ahead of the curve a little bit, get ahead of the group in terms of making our predictions for this. But we did both predict that these, I'm sure, I mean, I can't speak for you, but I know I predicted that Raquel Rodriguez would get this job done, because that's another thing we agreed on, is Raquel alone is a big threat in this tournament. So the fact that she's tag teamed with Aliyah kind of, I feel like, lessens her chances, I guess you can say, just in comparison to maybe if she was tagged with somebody else. You don't agree with that?
Yeah, I was about to say, I think they kind of complement each other pretty well. So
They do.
I think that's going to be a good team going forward, I guess.
They do complement each other very well. I guess the only thing I was kind of thinking, I don't know the whole babyface heel dynamic there, but I just feel like, I mean, if she was with somebody like Xia Li, who also complements her very well, but isn't necessarily a jobber, like some people would consider Aliyah being, it's just tough for me to give that credibility. But they did go on to the next round. I didn't see the bracket in front of me, so I don't know who they're going to be facing. Excuse me, but obviously, if you watch SmackDown, and you should know by now that we predicted it correctly, Raquel Rodriguez does get the win by hitting a Tahana Bomb on Xia Li. Pins her 1, 2, 3. But before that happened, we kind of touched on something that happened during this match where Raquel Rodriguez was hitting that, it's like a corkscrew elbow drop, something like that. Mm-hmm. Basically, it's badass what she does. It's very smooth. But she landed, I think it was her ass, maybe like her lower back. Some part of Raquel landed directly on Shotzi's face, and her mouth was busted open. She was, just gushing blood out of the mouth. Looked like a little bit like Gene Simmons, but didn't stop her. She continued to, fight through this match like we've seen people do in the past, whether it's like a broken nose or some type of blood happening. Continue to fight through, but it wasn't enough to stop the dominant, red-hot Raquel Rodriguez. What were your thoughts about this opening segment?
Well, I mean, it was pretty interesting. The pairing, like I said, between Raquel Rodriguez and Aliyah, I think is phenomenal. But I also think on the other end, Shotzi and Xia Li were a good tag team. It seemed like they had put in at least some type of work on their moves and stuff like that. So I wasn't mad at that. It actually seemed like they were invested in this little tag team that they had, even though they lost out pretty quick and everything. I mean, I felt like that they went well together as well. But I also did like whenever, Sonya Deville and Natalya was standing outside. Yeah. And then they both threw them out the, what would you say, like the railing, the guard?
The barricade.
Barricade, I guess you could say. And then, they did that little, or Shotzi and Raquel, they did that slow little turnaround, then that quick little stare down and just started going at it, Yep. I thought that was a good pop for me right there, I kind of, okay, dang, they're about to get back into it. So I was like, okay. But yeah, I mean, I wasn't mad at this one. Definitely impressed.
Yeah, so we can kind of go ahead and just share it since we touched on it a little bit ago. Our predictions for this tournament. What I thought would happen, Raquel Rodriguez, she does get the win. I don't want to just completely discredit Aliyah. I'm making it seem like she's by herself.
Dude, even Pat McAfee noticed this. She put a spear into the, who was it, Shotzi?
Yeah.
Oh, no, it was Aliyah that she hit with the spear.
Who, Aliyah hit a spear?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, it was, yeah.
That was pretty nice. So I'm impressed with what she's doing, too.
I just remember specifically, you said it, Pat McAfee said it. I remember hearing it from the commentary team that somebody hit a spear.
Yeah.
I think I might have been taking notes at the time.
Yeah, Aliyah hit.
So I know it happened. I just don't really know who was on the receiving end of it.
Yeah.
Okay, I gotcha. Well, like I said, I mean, I don't have the bracket in front of me, so I don't really know exactly how it's set up. But the way I kind of saw it playing out was Alexa Bliss, Asuka, Raquel Rodriguez, Aliyah as one side, maybe, depending on, I don't know exactly the matchups, but those are two teams that are going to be advancing to the semifinals, as well as Dakota Kai, Io Sky, and Nikita Lyons, and who was it? Zoe Stark from NXT. I knew. See, I'm not an NXT fan. I know Nikita Lyons, though. I will say she's going to be one of my favorites once she gets moved up to the main roster.
Dang.
Can definitely identify her in a crowd. But just as far as like the way the bracket's set up, I guess if I was going to predict it, Raquel Rodriguez and Aliyah versus the NXT team, and the NXT team advances, goes to the finals, and they take on the winner between Dakota Kai and Io Sky. I almost pulled a Bailey there.
There you go.
Gotta tell the people to shut the hell up, you know. But anyways, that's kind of how I see it, and I think that Alexa Bliss and Asuka will lose to Dakota Sky. I'm just gonna call their team that. See, I did it. I ended up doing it after all. But their team, I think that it will end up being Dakota Kai beating Alexa Bliss in terms of like team captains, and Nikita Lyons NXT team beating Raquel Rodriguez. So we will get NXT team in the finals. You're hearing it here first. NXT team will make it to the finals versus Dakota Kai and Io Sky. And just judging by the way they're being booked, given that Triple H is basically running the show right now, and these are his babies from NXT, number one, that's why I think the NXT brand is going to be showcased in this. They're not going to win. I think that whoever gets there and faces the NXT team is going to win, but they want them to get the exposure, more eyeballs on the product, to maybe make viewers go and watch it. To know they do have a credible tag team there, and ultimately just put over these two women. Who knows what can happen going forward whenever they do eventually, come up to the main roster. I do believe a draft is coming here pretty soon, where the rosters will be shaken up a little bit. I don't know if you've gotten a chance to take part in one of those yet. Have you?
I have not. Or a draft?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have.
So you watched one, but not here on the podcast?
No, yeah.
Okay, I got you.
Actually, yeah, I think at the very beginning. Or I might have not been recording yet, but I did see the one that was at the beginning of this year.
Really? Was there one at the beginning of this year? Mm-hmm. I don't know how. Why am I blanking on that?
A draft?
A draft?
Yes.
Okay. How did it go? Just fill me in on this. That's all I need.
So, of course, everybody that's kind of on the brands right now. I mean, of course, there's no brand split, but you got Roman Reigns. You had Becky Lynch at a time, whenever she was a champion.
I don't know why I'm blanking on this last one. So it's definitely on me.
Yeah, it was definitely there because I was like, I even talked to you about it. I was like, but I can't really touch base on too much of it because that was all fresh to me whenever I was. But yeah, there was definitely one.
Well, they're pretty badass whenever they're done right. Whenever the structure of the brand split is actually enforced, then you can really enjoy a draft like this. But whenever people just going back and forth from brand to brand, then it really doesn't matter. Like, it really doesn't. Like, you're wasting your time with a draft. It doesn't matter. Just, have SmackDown be the, delegated B show. Put all your good stuff on Raw and let the people who don't go. That's just how they treat us over here. I'm not a fan of it.
They got 3 hours to do their magic. We got 2
for now.
Still feel it.
For now, they do. All right.
I'm sticking up for SmackDown right here. I don't know about Mike, but he's over here talking. He's
I'm just being a realist.
He's wearing a lot of red. So
hey, Falcons played their first preseason game today. I will say beat the Detroit Lions. Shout out to Detroit Kyle. It was a fun little game there. I will say, obviously preseason. Take it with a grain of salt, but that's why I'm wearing red. I love SmackDown. You know that.
I'm just giving you some stuff.
I know. Yeah, I'm definitely I represent the blue brand over here, but I just, I'm real about it. I know how the public perceives it. They all just think, Raw's so good. SmackDown sucks. SmackDown's women's division sucks. Roman Reigns never shows up. All that good stuff. I get it, but hey, tables always turn at some point. So just keep that same energy whenever Roman Reigns is showing up every week. And, SmackDown just gets better. Keep in mind, we got Gunther, all right? That's a heavy freaking hitter right there. And that's a big-time pro wrestler. I'll use it.
We got a lot of people on IR, too, so.
Yeah, true. Wait till Sasha Banks comes back, all right? That's another one there. Yeah, so we're ready to rock, all right? Let's just go ahead and say that when Survivor Series comes around, it's Raw versus SmackDown. we're going to be representing over here. But let's go ahead and move on to something else that happened. Another newcomer to SmackDown, Karrion Kross, has a backstage promo. He just basically talks about how he's not the chosen one, how Drew McIntyre and Roman Reigns are. And he feels like a broken toy, I think might have been the example that he used. Mm-hmm. And he talks, referring to him and Scarlett, they say that they changed the timeline, meaning that there was an original plan for the Universal Championship, for Roman Reigns, whenever he did inevitably lose it or whatever. That's kind of what I took from it. And whenever they said we changed the timeline, meaning no, like now that we're here, like things are going to go different. We're going to be the ones that take this championship. And they have this weird camera angle. Did you catch that? Where like it looked like they were like kind of creeping around the corner. You see Drew McIntyre right there, and they were actually watching him. Well, how did he not hear him? Number one, just maybe just looking into it a little bit too much. That's the first thing that came to my mind. I was like, wait, so if I knew that I attacked Drew McIntyre from behind a week ago, and I know that he's like right around the corner, and I'm just standing there, I'm not going to be screaming, cutting a promo. I'm going to be keeping it down, especially because immediately after he's just raising his voice, he gets all in, stealth mode, kind of goes over there on the corner, looking around, being real careful. I'm like, you were just raising your voice there, cutting a promo. So I'm just kind of didn't really add up there, but I did enjoy the camera work. Just the fact that immediately after that, you hear Drew's music hits. It's just a little bit of a gift for people who are paying attention and looking forward to that type of stuff. But the reason why Drew McIntyre's music hit and he went out to the ring was basically to deliver a message to Karrion Kross. He says that his hands are tied up right now, referring to Roman Reigns and his match at Clash at the Castle. But soon, he and Karrion Kross will be able to play a multiple choice game, and he'll get 3 choices. A, knockout. B, hospital. Or C, graveyard quickly. Which one would you pick?
I'd take the knockout.
All right, knockout. Depending on my health insurance situation,
I'm not trying to go to the hospital.
I might go to the hospital because I don't like being knocked unconscious. Number one, never happened to me before, but I don't want it to happen. Number 2, hospital, that can mean a lot of things. He could easily give you maybe a titty twister a little bit too hard, pinch or I guess break the skin. You got to go over there, get some stitches. Who knows what could happen? Hospital trip can mean a lot of things. And I'm going to be honest. I like cafeteria food. I do. Sue me. I love, a good cafeteria line. You get the tray. You pick various different types of food. I'm all for that. So, you get me in the hospital for maybe like a one-day stay. Like I said, if it's all paid for, my health insurance is all good and all that stuff, and I'm not paying for this trip, I think I'd take the hospital trip. But anyways, he also says that he's going to shock the crowd here, right? He's going to break some news. He's got the scoop. Roman Reigns isn't here tonight. So obviously, very sarcastic. The crowd had the shocked looks on their faces like, what? Roman Reigns isn't here tonight? Are you kidding me? Like, obviously, we all knew Roman wasn't going to be there tonight, but he is going to be there next week. We had a face-to-face with Drew McIntyre. They advertised that later in the show. But after he says that Roman Reigns isn't here tonight and he starts to, take shots at Roman, the lights kind of go out a little bit and we hear Karrion Kross and Scarlett's music hit. And she comes to the ring very, very slowly. And she has Drew McIntyre's full attention, which does bite him in the ass because if he were to turn around, the Usos climb in the ring, attack him from behind. They're jumping him. They hit the 1D. They get the better of Drew right here. And then they turn to Scarlett and they basically say, hey, if your husband is going to step up to Roman, then he's going to be getting knocked down too. But before they said that, and it just seemed like she was distracting Drew for them, I was confused as hell. Like, I was like, okay, what is this dynamic? Like, I'm really confused because I didn't see last week, right? Like, I didn't watch SmackDown in real time and see that reaction. Now, obviously, I knew Karrion Kross made his return. I saw the whole main event segment where he did attack Drew McIntyre and all that stuff. The hourglass gets put in the ring. What I didn't understand, though, is what the connection was for Karrion Kross, like, being inserted in this, because it's almost like with this Universal Championship, and I guess the Unified Championship, whatever it is, they like to use like a monkey bar approach, like where you have one hand on one bar and another one on the other. Think about it, like when he was going to SummerSlam with Brock Lesnar, they were hyping up the Clash at the Castle the whole time, talking about Drew McIntyre. Now here we are leading into Clash at the Castle, and Karrion Kross is starting to creep in here, and like it's like they're starting to set the groundwork for the next feud, whoever ends up winning the championship, because that's what it was. It was hyped up. Drew McIntyre is going to fight whoever at Clash at the Castle, whether it's Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns, even Austin Theory's name was floated around at the time. But I just feel like they're kind of doing the same thing here with Karrion Kross, and I didn't really know where he fit in this whole situation. But now I can kind of see very clearly that, I mean, he's clearly after Roman Reigns. He's clearly after that championship. But he knows that he has to go through Drew to do it, so that's pretty much what he's doing. He knows that he has to knock Drew out, but Drew made it pretty clear today that he wants a piece of Karrion. So, I mean, I don't know about a triple threat. Obviously, that's not going to happen to Clash at the Castle, but if there's some type of sloppy finish, like if Karrion Kross and Scarlett go out there and interfere with Roman Reigns and Drew McIntyre at Clash at the Castle, you could see something happening where at the October pay-per-view, I'm not really sure which one it is, maybe TLC, I don't know for sure, don't quote me on that, but whatever pay-per-views in October, I could see this maybe end up, being a triple threat or Karrion just stealing a number one contender spot somehow. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, I mean, first of all, his music, awesome. Last week was the first time seeing it, hearing it. So, I mean, to hear it again this week, yeah, it definitely gave me that little chill, man. I don't know. I mean, like I said, I don't really know what to think of it. I mean, for him just to come out and attack Drew like that last week, it threw my mind in a swirl. Like, the first thing that came to mind was, okay, maybe we might get a triple threat for this just because we don't need Roman losing it, I mean, Karrion Kross can come in, kind of be like the distraction that he's being right now, I guess you could say, Scarlett. But I don't know, man. It really didn't take too much from the Usos jumping in, I guess you could say. Maybe it was just like them coming in, kind of defending the name from Drew, kind of throwing out the little, you just like the yes man and type stuff, right hand, or whatever he called them, stuff like that. But I don't know, man. I don't think there's like too much of a connection between the Karrion Kross and the Usos on this, in my opinion.
You're listening to the WWE Podcast. We'll be right back after this short break.
All right, so the truth is, no dude wants to be called Pam. But the truth is, most men have a Pam problem. The Pam problem, guys, you know what that is? It's the passive-aggressive man. Passive with his hopes, dreams, desires, maybe aggressive with vices, self-sabotage, distractions. They also struggle with women, work, and the world of men. Pam is passive with women, constantly friend-zoned. He's the nice guy that women keep around to help them move, check on their dogs, but never want to date. Pam is passed up at work, passed up for the promotion, and can't seem to catch a break. If you think you may have a Pam problem, or maybe you know someone that does, check out the High Value Man Conversation on Apple and Spotify and learn how to stop Pam and become a high value man. Learn more about the host, Aaron Alejandrino, on Instagram at TheFitBeard, all one word. But the podcast is called High Value Man Conversation. I checked it out on Apple Podcasts. It already has a 5-star review. It's got some great episodes, including how to avoid that dreaded friend zone. Those of you guys out there, I'm very familiar with that friend zone over the years. I was lucky enough to finally get out of it, but that is going to be an excellent episode for you guys out there that are stuck in that situation. You can also learn how to just make friends. I mean, just basic stuff, but critical stuff as well. Check out the High Value Man Conversation. It's available on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. You're not going to want to miss it. It'll add value to your life, guaranteed. Check it out today.
Welcome back to the WWE Podcast. Let's get back to more great wrestling audio.
Yeah, we'll let it play out for sure. That's something that definitely we need a couple more weeks, at least one more week, because Karrion Kross is he's so new on the scene in terms of obviously he's been in WWE before, but since he's been back, it's only been a couple weeks. Mm-hmm. But he's featured so prominently and in such a prominent way with the top guy in the company. It's hard not to wonder what's going to happen there. But we can go ahead and move on here to another little, I guess, attack from behind. That was the theme of tonight. This time, Kofi Kingston He attacks the Viking Raiders from behind as they're making their entrance. And he does. I mean, I think he might have a kendo stick with him. He's just, swinging away. At first, it looks like he might be getting the better of him, but the numbers game does eventually come into effect, and he's left lifeless on that stage. And then Ivar hits that splash, jumps off the barricade right there at the corner. That's a good seat to have if you go to a live event. That corner right there at the very beginning of the aisle, at the, I guess, top of the stage, I guess. The ramp is barely beginning because there's that other corner seat as well at the very end of the ramp, like right there as they're going up the steps to get into the ring.
Yeah.
But on that same aisle, that very far corner, that's where they jumped off, or Ivar jumped off, I guess, and hit that splash on the Kofi Kingston. It's just one of those things. He feels so lost without his partners. So he wants to get put in the hospital as well. He just wants to. He's just, asking for it. And I think if you knock on the devil's door enough, somebody's going to answer.
Yeah, man. I thought he was going to get, like the best of him, like how he did last week. But, man, yeah, whenever he was like thrown headfirst into that shield, bro, I was like, oh, he's done.
Yeah.
There's no getting around this now.
This is actually a very quick segment. Didn't take very long at all. But are you ready for another sneak attack?
Yeah.
Well, Sami Zayn approaches Roman Reigns' locker room. He's knocking on the door. Knocks pretty loudly. The Usos come out. They start to talk, and Sami Zayn's basically owning up to what they said last week. He's saying, you guys are right. I do need to do something here. And he starts to, talk about it. But out of nowhere, Drew McIntyre comes in, and he just cheap shots the Usos. He's beating the hell out of them. And obviously, Sami Zayn makes a run for it, and he takes off. And that comes into play a little bit later in the show. They do question him for that. But something that is funny because he's the one that knocked on the door, right? He's the one that got them to come out. Mm-hmm. And Drew comes out of nowhere, kicks their ass, and Sammy's the one that runs away and doesn't get touched. It's just, it adds to that dynamic. Whereas you think that eventually Sami Zayn's going to get hurt, trying to force his way into the bloodline.
Well, I mean, the thing that I got from this was like the camera angle of it again, like how they kind of just viewed off to the side, kind of blurry looking but yeah, I thought it was definitely time for him to take off that shirt at that moment. But yeah, I mean, it kind of played into some other stuff, but
it's funny he's still wearing the old Bloodline shirt. Like they hadn't even given him the new one where they have all the belts, So I think that's pretty funny. That I guarantee that's done strategically. They're doing that on purpose just to make it seem like they won't even give him the new shirt. He has to wear the old one. But up next, something that I know is pretty popular amongst the WWE universe. I'll be honest, guys. Not me. I'm not a fan of these guys. I wasn't a fan of Hit Row whenever they were here the first time. Go listen to the podcast back in 2021 or whatever it was. Just wasn't a fan of them at all. I felt like they were extremely corny. That's something that I said every week whenever they were coming out, doing their whatever. Wasn't a fan of it then. We'll see. I'm not going to just completely be stubborn and, die on a hill. I'll gladly change my stance on it if, I'm given new evidence as to feel otherwise, but I'm just, I don't know what it is. It just doesn't do it for me. It really doesn't. None of them. Like Top Dollar, B-Fab. I don't even know the other one's name. I don't know the third member's name. I really don't. They are the 3 OGs, though. That's what they said of Hit Row.
Okay, so question. Was Swerve was part of that?
He was.
And
he's in AEW now.
Okay.
So
I was just making sure on that.
I'm pretty sure, by the way. So if he's not in AEW, somebody's probably yelling at their phone right now wanting to put me through a table. But hey, it is what it is. Once they leave WWE, I typically don't follow them unless they're like, pretty big name, obviously. Adam Cole, Daniel Bryan, CM Punk. It's tough for those guys to go to AEW and you not know. It's a big news item, but I'm going to be honest. Swerve, not the first name that pops on my radar. But they get a match here with some local talent. Don't even remember their names. It was a squash match. Top Dollar ends up winning with he has one of them across his arms, across his chest, the other one on his shoulders. He slams both of them, gets the pin. This match right here would have, I guess, along with that, Kofi Kingston running up from behind and attacking the Viking Raiders, probably one of the quickest segments on the entire show. Did this one do anything for you at all?
This one, man, I lost interest whenever I saw, or when I heard the Hit Row. I was like, all right, this is going to give me some time to, do what I had to do at the house and stuff like that. But yeah, this isn't it for me. I had seen like or somebody had said that they were going to be brought back and stuff like that. And I was just like, I hope not. And then whenever it happened, bro, I was just like, wow.
Yeah, and I do want to preface it by saying, we're not haters. All right,
Oh,
we're
no,
not trying
definitely
to.
not,
We're not
definitely
trying to hate on them. We're just being honest. We'll tell you all day whenever something does catch our interest and we are into it. But this is just something that I don't know why it's just tough for me to get behind, and truly because it's extremely corny. Who knows? It might grow on me. I doubt it, but it might. And if it does, then like I said, I'll be more than willing to change my stance. I guess we'll kind of see what happens there. We can go ahead and move on to another segment, though. Let's see here. This was actually the contract signing between Shayna Baszler and Liv Morgan. But this thing was completely flipped upside down whenever Ronda Rousey appears and she comes through the crowd. If you didn't get a chance to see her wardrobe, you might want to go back and check it out just because it was very strange. It was very strange. It looked like she had a thong on her chest. So you did see it?
I did see
it was
that.
very weird. I was wondering what the hell was going on there, but nonetheless, she dumps out a bag of money to show that finding her basically won't faze her at all. Security comes out. It looks like maybe she's going to hurt one of the security members. She does flip one over and grabs their arm. It looks like all hell's going to break loose, but she doesn't. She leaves on her own. And she's confronted by Shayna Baszler at the top of the stage, who basically just calls her out and says that, that's not how you handle stuff over here. It's not how you get what you want. It's not how you regain an opportunity at the championship, pretty much. It was a weird thing for Shayna Baszler to say. I've never seen her call out Ronda like that. And Ronda kind of laughs it off and says, you used to be a killer. And then she leaves. A little nice interaction there. Some foreshadowing that we could see these two in a program together soon. And Ronda Rousey as the heel, Shayna Baszler as the babyface. That would be interesting there. Really, just a dynamic that maybe people don't think about, But clearly, Ronda Rousey's the heel. This is a heel turn that she's making right now. People think it might be, a way to get her to fight or wrestle Becky Lynch at WrestleMania. Whatever, as a babyface Becky Lynch. But I don't know, man. Shayna Baszler as a babyface in this program would be weird. But that was clearly something a babyface would say.
Yeah.
But
I was going to say, that'd be hard to convince me to have Shayna Baszler as a baby.
Especially after what she does here about 3 minutes later. That's definitely so it's come on, man, what are you guys doing? You guys are flirting the line there, and I need to know.
Right.
But Liv Morgan comes out after Ronda Rousey, says, you used to be a killer. She goes backstage. Shayna Baszler goes to the ring. We do get Liv Morgan. But before that, Shayna Baszler kind of cuts a promo. She signs the contract before Liv even gets out there. But Liv does finally come out, and she calls her a bootleg, Ronda Rousey. And she says that she knows that because Liv Morgan actually beat the real deal twice. You could say what you want about those 2 wins, this and that, but she's not wrong in terms of just being factual. She is right. She didn't say they were clean wins. She didn't say she dominated or showcased a phenomenal wrestling ability. Just so happened to get the win. Her hand was raised at the end of the match, and I guess that's all that matters. But after the contract is signed, Shayna Baszler grabs her injured arm, twists it, stomps on it like she does that Future Endeavored stomp. She pulls it over her shoulder and just yanks it down. Mm-hmm. If her arm was really messed up, because, she went out there with a brace. She looked like J.J. Watt out there with that huge brace on his arm. And that's the first thing I noticed. And if her arm is really messed up, then Shayna Baszler, she could put somebody on the shelf, man. And I think Liv Morgan might be in trouble here. I really do. I know they're trying to build Liv up as this, this champion that overcomes the odds. But at some point, you're going to run into somebody that could fold you like a pretzel. And I think that maybe Shayna Baszler is that person.
And that, definitely true right there. I can't say, but I want to see Liv kind of strive. I know it's not convincing that she could possibly win, I guess, this one as well. But we've seen her beat Ronda twice. Like we said, so I don't know what to say about this one, man. Yeah, it's definitely going to be hard to convince me that Liv can actually pull this one off. But, yeah, got to see what happens, right?
You definitely do. That's one thing you were not wrong about. And we can go ahead and move on to the Usos coming out. They do confront Sami Zayn before this. They say, calling him a track star, referencing him running away and all that stuff. It was a funny little interaction. They say, don't worry, we're about to go out to the ring and call out Drew McIntyre right now. And they do just that. They say, Drew, pick a tag team partner and come out here. And you do have to give them credit for, number one, not being scared. Obviously they're pro wrestlers. They're not scared of anything. But just in terms of calling Drew McIntyre out and not even saying hey, 2-on-1, no, they want to make it even. They're like, no, get your tag team partner, come out here and let's do this. Fair and square. You have to appreciate that, and I do feel like in the grand scheme of things, it does make the Usos look a little bit more badass than what they looked before the show opened, and I will just be honest there. I thought that was a pretty good move by the Usos, but anyways, he does come out pretty damn quick, Drew McIntyre that is, and he doesn't wait for a partner. He doesn't even care. He goes out there. It's 2-on-1 at first, and it's pretty even for a little bit. He's getting his in. They're getting theirs in. Eventually, they're stomping him out, though, and it does look like the numbers advantage is going to come into effect here again, but Madcap Moss comes to the rescue, goes out there, helps him, goes after one of the Usos. Drew McIntyre gets up, starts defending himself as well, and then whenever, Madcap's kind of there waiting for him to be embraced, and Drew kind of, goes up there, and it looks like he was going to wait a little bit. I was like, what are you doing, man? Did you come here to save your ass? Shake his freaking hand, I don't know why. I'm a big Madcap fan, and I think that him going out there to help him was pretty badass. You could tell that they do have some big plans for old Madcap going forward, but we do finally get that true tag team match after a commercial break. And, Sami Zayn comes out. He gets involved a little bit, but it's the red-hot Drew McIntyre that ends up hitting Jimmy Uso with a Claymore, and they pick up the win. So Drew McIntyre, once again, he's in a damn good spot right now, with a head full of steam heading towards Clash at the Castle.
Yeah, man. This one, man, the whole Madcap thing kind of threw me off because, I'm all for him and everything. And it's hard to go against Madcap, I guess you could say, especially whenever they're going against Bloodline because, of course, Bloodline, that's who we're going to go for. But I am happy that he's actually trying to keep himself relevant, I guess you could say, with big names and stuff, matches, and I'm not mad at that, but man, I just didn't like that it had to be him that came out. I'd rather see Drew McIntyre just handle that by himself, I guess, but I wouldn't say handle it, but yeah, I didn't expect that.
No, I totally get it, 100%, but moving on to something that I know you're going to enjoy. We get a photo shoot backstage between the Maximum Male Models, featuring Max Dupree and Maxine Dupree. They're just enjoying a photo shoot, but hey, Max had to stop it. Call a timeout real quick. Pause everything. What the hell are these dudes doing in here? And he's pointing to the Los Lotharios, the Lethal Lovers. They walk in here. He says, this is members only. This is an exclusive private photo shoot. What the hell are you doing back here? And they basically, they make their pitch, right? You should have us join your little group here because we are the most attractive tag team on the roster. And, basically just saying we'd be good assets to your team is more or less what he was trying to get out. But, Max kind of gets in his face or in his ear like he does typically, about an inch away from people's face. I don't know why he does this. And he's basically trying to tell him no. And they just move him out of the way. And they go over to Maxine and say, we weren't talking to you. And they kind of just tell, Maxine that the offer stands and they want to join the group or whatever. So it was funny. I don't know why I'm laughing about it now more than what I did whenever it actually happened, but just picturing him just getting his face right away and knowing that's kind of his go-to. He's done it to Adam Pearce so many times. It's a nice little, little wrinkle to his character that's just funny. Just him getting in people's face.
Yeah, man, this one, it was definitely better than all the other ones, I guess you could say.
Because it's finally transitioning. It's not just a photo shoot. We saw another tag team go out there. That's always been the problem. How is this going to translate to the ring?
Well, I was questioning, how did we not even think of Los Lotharios being part of this from the very beginning? That's their whole little...
I have heard somebody, I don't know who, so I don't want to... it sucks I can't give you credit, but I'm not going to take credit for it because I did hear it from somebody else. They said they should feud with Los Lotharios. Mm-hmm. I heard this maybe a couple weeks ago whenever this thing first started. I don't know if it was in Discord or something, but somebody from the WWE podcast universe said that. And I do want to give credit there because sure enough, here we go. But it does make sense. I agree. Me and you, it was right in front of our face. How did we not see that this could be a perfect feud? But I guess I just view all these guys as heels. I view the Maximum Male Models as heels, and I also view the Lethal Lovers as heels. So I try to factor that in whenever it comes to programs going forward. But these days, I mean, I guess it really doesn't matter. It is a good pair.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, man, I don't know how we didn't think about this, but I mean, I just like that it's not getting as much showtime as it was before. Like this little, 15, 30 seconds, maybe even a minute, I guess you could say what it was. That was fine. You know, don't have to go into too much, nothing, I guess you could say, showing these guys. Well, of course, they were all freaking oiled up and doing their little flexes and stuff on command. But yeah, I do like that it was a lot shorter than what it's been.
Yeah, and like I said, as long as it's translating into something, as long as we're getting somewhere wrestling related, then I'm all for it. You know, take your pictures, do all your thing. I mean, if I was ripped and could do that type of stuff, I'd probably do it too.
And I think another thing is like the little inside feud that's about to be going on with Maxine and then Max.
Because they're going to try to kick him out. Watch, they're going to try to kick him to the curb.
So now it's kind of, okay, maybe, but I'm not giving it too much.
Yeah.
Not too much.
Well, we get another backstage attack. This time it's Ricochet breaking down, giving the play-by-play on how he assisted Pat McAfee kicking Baron Corbin right in the gonads. And out of nowhere, Baron Corbin comes and he attacks Ricochet when he's in the middle of a backstage interview in that little ring area. We've seen that. I guess it's convenient that they have a little piece of a ring there because so many attacks happen right there that it's almost like a little mini match. So I guess the location was fitting for this attack. But, I mean, clearly we're going to get Ricochet versus Corbin probably next week or the week after. Could lead to maybe a pre-show match at Clash at the Castle. I don't know if it's worthy of being at the card with absolutely no build other than, I guess, the scraps of a Pat McAfee and Baron Corbin program. That's kind of the way I look at it, like getting the leftovers, the crumbs, the last little bit of that to try to make Ricochet feel relevant in this moment right now because since he lost the IC title, he's somewhat been floating in no man's land. I want to see him get back to do something, something meaningful. I mean, he was a good Intercontinental Champion.
True.
It just so happened that the next dude following him was
Beast.
An absolute phenom, and that's kind of where we can get to now, transitioning naturally into the main event, the Intercontinental Championship match between Shinsuke Nakamura and Gunther. And this one is exactly what you expected. I believe it was like 8:44 Central Time whenever this match started for me. And I was like, okay, this is a little bit of, if everything works out here, they're going to give him about 16 minutes for this match, give or take. Ended up being right around 12 minutes, but an absolute slugfest. Shinsuke Nakamura absolutely held his own. I don't feel like he was a loser in this match at all. I mean, I know he lost, but he didn't his character didn't get hurt at all because he put up a hell of a fight. You're getting someone who seems damn near unbeatable at this point. Just his ability to punish you throughout the match. His clotheslines, they're damn near worse than his chops. They really are. His clothesline's probably one of the most underrated moves in the entire WWE because keep in mind, JBL, he made a career out of the clothesline. That was his finishing move, the clothesline from hell. Gunther's is up there. It really is. It might even be worse. He makes dudes do backflips out of their shoes, man. This dude can take your head off. Shinsuke Nakamura did all he could. It just wasn't enough. I mean, that powerbomb that he does is absolutely vicious. It's tough to knock Gunther off his feet, although there was that beautiful knee shot that Shinsuke Nakamura had on Gunther. So, I mean, like I said, man, he delivered his own, versions of some offensive strikes. You love seeing that from Shinsuke, the strong style. It's always kind of been his forte. He's a good adapter to his opponent. He could wrestle AJ Styles and put on a 5-star classic. He can wrestle Gunther and put on a 5-star classic, and that's exactly what this was. Beautiful match, beautiful main event. Like I said, it's hard to find another match in all of wrestling, although I didn't watch any of the other shows except for Monday Night Raw, so I don't want to just come out here and give a false opinion, but man, somebody point me to a better match this week than Gunther versus Shinsuke Nakamura.
Yeah, this one was definitely great, man. I wasn't mad at it at all. There was crazy chops. That was a big bullet point that I had on my notes. And it was crazy to see let me correct myself, Gunther actually on his back, I guess you could say, getting rolled up, getting, close 1, 2, 3s. That was crazy just to see that big guy with his legs being held up, I guess you could say, while being pinned, So this was, definitely a big eye-opener for me for, performance-wise for Shinsuke. You know, he definitely, I think he went above and beyond in this one because, I don't know, I just felt like I haven't seen this yet from him. You know, of course, they've been kind of giving him these little matches between Ludwig and stuff like that. But then you put the title online, you know, you get a lot more energy, I guess you could say, a lot more intensity.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I definitely wasn't mad at this, man. But, I don't know, man. Ricochet, I know he had said this in his previous, or that little interview that he had with Caleb Braxton, that he was ready for what's coming, you know, and then him being next in line for the IC title again. But I want to see this happen again. I want to see another rematch of this match, Shinsuke and Gunther. And I wouldn't be mad if it was next week.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, they put on a good show. If it was to start off SmackDown next week, maybe, or I wouldn't even say Raw, but yeah, I'd say SmackDown. If they were to started off SmackDown next week with this, you know, just some type of, we just need a rematch type stuff thing, I wouldn't be mad at it.
Yeah, a matchup like this, I don't think anybody would be upset with this. They haven't really gone at it like that. When you put on a match like this, you deserve it. You know, you deserve that opportunity. Like, it's kind of funny. I know it's nowhere near that, I guess, stratosphere as Kurt Angle and Brock Lesnar, but there's a rivalry, like biography type thing on A&E, documentary, however you want to look at it, but it's pretty badass. It highlights the rivalry that Brock Lesnar and them had, Brock Lesnar and Kurt Angle, I should specifically say, and just goes through basically their matches that they had throughout the course of like 2002, 2003, showed the injuries that Kurt Angle dealt with, you know, in that match and how he fought while being injured to make sure that their last man standing match went on. And the reason, like, because keep in mind, last man standing match, that's like, obviously we just saw one with Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns. You have to stay down for the 10-second count. Mm-hmm. And that is what Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns, or Kurt Angle had. Now I'm getting kind of twisted because I'm thinking, and I believe it might have been a Iron Man match, a 60-minute Iron Man match between Kurt Angle and Brock Lesnar. And I remember he, like, gave him a fall. Brock Lesnar gave Kurt Angle a fall by hitting him with a chair. So he got disqualified, and Kurt Angle went up 1-0 in like the fall count as the hour, you know, ticks away. But basically, the whole reason why I said that is because the crowd wanted it more because of how well those two work together. And I think we're kind of in a little bit of a situation just in this moment in time right now where, like you just said, the crowd does want more of Shinsuke versus Gunther. And I think that, you know, Shinsuke having that Intercontinental Championship and sitting on it, that was a very bad taste in our mouth. We finally got it out. So I'm not advocating for Shinsuke Nakamura to win this championship. I don't think it's going to happen, even if we did want it to. But I just feel like him still being able to, you know, to main event SmackDown in a match like this and put on a 5-star classic, it's just a testament to him and how valuable he is when you're talking about the SmackDown roster. He's somebody that if we were to have like a 5-on-5 elimination team, you know, Raw versus SmackDown at Survivor Series, you'd have to put Shinsuke on that team for sure.
Yeah, definitely wouldn't. I would say leave him off of that list, I guess you could say, because I have my list of people, and I wouldn't say Shinsuke is probably like right there. But, I mean, with this performance, man, he definitely, I guess you could say, went up a few notches in my book. And like I said, it was just like from previous like matches and seeing him like with the IC title and stuff like that. So, I mean, yeah, definitely moved up a few rankings in my book.
Yeah, I definitely got to see the SmackDown roster as a whole. You know, I got to see all the names before I do, but I will be honest, man, it would be tough for me to find 5 without listing Shinsuke's name just on that elimination team. I'm big on Shinsuke, though. I do have a shirt down there. You probably haven't seen it yet, but it is, because I got it like 4 or 5 years ago, but it is a Shinsuke Nakamura shirt. But
nice.
Anyways, that is the SmackDown review, the 95th edition, since we've been doing this here. I do appreciate you guys for tuning in to, you know, get the lowdown on what happened on SmackDown. That's definitely what we enjoy doing, is providing the insight, the recap, the review, chronological order. So if you didn't catch SmackDown, we'd like to do, you know, as good of a job as we can to catch you up and make it as if you did watch it. So we do take a lot of pride in that, providing a good episode for you guys to close out the week. Like we mentioned, we look at ourselves like the last leg of a relay team, just kind of sending you guys into the weekend the right way with, you know, a good episode of SmackDown. And no matter what, no matter how this episode of SmackDown is, we hope that we can at least provide an entertaining episode and you guys enjoy what you spent your time doing. So if you haven't already, go check out the other podcast here on the WWE podcast. You got the Raw review, you got the mailbag, you got the NXT review, AEW, WWE Retro, WTFW, although they might be on a hiatus right now. I don't really know exactly what's going on there, but shout out to Kanye Twitty, shout out to Mr. Casual Wrestling Fan, the Casual Wrestling crew, everybody in the Discord server for keeping that thing popping, keeping it entertaining. That's always something that you like, a bunch of new names popping up there all the time. You love to see that. So, I enjoy the way the podcast is going, the direction that it's going. As we head closer to, the fall, some uncharted pay-per-views like Clash at the Castle. Who knows what's next after that? Maybe, oh my gosh, now that I'm thinking about it, they're going to freaking Saudi Arabia in October. Freaking Crown Jewel or whatever on a Thursday, like 11 a.m. So, yeah.
You'll be all right, man.
Gonna throw off our schedule, but we'll see what happens. I'm looking forward to that. But anyways, guys, one more time, I want to thank you so much for tuning in to this podcast. BIGG_speaker, big speaker. If you want to follow John on Twitter, you already know where to get at me. If you want to, go follow Football Function, subscribe on your favorite podcast app, maybe even on Patreon if you want an ad-free experience. But either way, I will definitely appreciate you guys listening in general. We got a lot of WWE podcast voices that have made their way over there to that show. So it would definitely go a long way if you decide to tune in over there. And also some other podcasts that are related to this show. The Kick Ash podcast with Ashley Mann. That's a big one there. We definitely hope you do that. Also the Revolutionary Wrestling podcast. Want to make sure that I got that right. With Grace. She does a hell of a job there. So definitely, tune in, show some love to everybody that you can. That's the only way that you really can get through this as a podcaster, is by that guerrilla marketing and trusting the people, your listeners, to spread the word. So we definitely appreciate that.
Yeah, man. Definitely want to give a shout out to everybody. Yeah, thank y'all for making this a part of y'all's week and everything. And definitely want to give a shout out to Mike, man. Appreciate you for having me, every week and everything. But yeah, Football Function, check that out if y'all want to catch up on y'all's football news. And yeah, basically want to close out the show like that. Thank y'all for listening. I'm out.
All right, so the truth is, no dude wants to be called Pam. But the truth is, most men have a Pam problem. The Pam problem, guys, you know what that is? It's the passive-aggressive man. Passive with his hopes, dreams, desires, maybe aggressive with vices, self-sabotage, distractions. They also struggle with women, work, and the world of men. Pam is passive with women, constantly friend-zoned. He's the nice guy that women keep around to help them move, check on their dogs, but never want to date. Pam is passed up at work, passed up for the promotion, and can't seem to catch a break. If you think you may have a Pam problem, or maybe you know someone that does, check out the High Value Man Conversation on Apple and Spotify and learn how to stop Pam and become a high value man. Learn more about the host, Aaron Alejandrino, on Instagram at TheFitBeard, all one word. But the podcast is called High Value Man Conversation. I checked it out on Apple Podcasts. It already has a 5-star review. It's got some great episodes, including how to avoid that dreaded friend zone. Those of you guys out there, I'm very familiar with that friend zone over the years. I was lucky enough to finally get out of it, but that is going to be an excellent episode for you guys out there that are stuck in that situation. You can also learn how to just make friends. I mean, just basic stuff, but critical stuff as well. Check out the High Value Man Conversation. It's available on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. You're not going to want to miss it. It'll add value to your life, guaranteed. Check it out today.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.